Hi, it's 975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Legacy version on Xbox. And I will be honest, I thought about splitting this video up into about 4 different videos, but I kind of felt it deserved to be one full video because it was just such a perfect evening's entertainment for me on Elite Dangerous on the Legacy version on Xbox. I first off got on the game, had to choose which system to go to pirate. I happened to choose Mahlanja, which is a hotspot for people doing wing trading mining missions for stuff like merchandise that you can buy. And I happened to catch a wing of 3 doing exactly that. The first gentleman I interdicted dropped cargo. Originally I thought he'd drop limpets, not cargo, and then I remembered I'd been mining and he actually dropped merchandise for me. I believe he dropped 10 tons, which I only asked for 5, so I was very grateful. And he got the 24-hour pass. And later on in this video I do shoot at him, but I will actually show you the conversation in text as to why I ended up shooting at him. And there's also a very good reason as to why that was a kind of separate thing. Normally when you got a 24-hour pass you don't get touched at all. However, this was kind of a bit of a weird circumstance. I didn't recognise the squadron tags, I've never seen them before. It turns out it's a new squadron just starting, which is another great sign for the community over here on the Legacy version on Xbox. A new squadron, just been founded, just starting out. And yeah, it's nice to remind new squadrons that, if they run into me, I am, well, am I Matt Damon?
Space pirate.
That is correct, I'm a space pirate, and an equal opportunity space pirate indeed, because here I am interdicting a mostly harmless member of the wing. Now, with mostly harmless commanders, I'm a little more gentle. I try and not shoot at harmless commanders at all. Try and do my piracy with a little bit of as little violence as I can get away with. Pretty much how I treat all my customers, but with mostly harmless is you just got to be a bit careful with weapon choices. One of the reasons why we don't run all railgun builds or big, plasma charges on our pirate builds is because you never know. You can one-shot a harmless commander quite easy when you're using real high DPS weaponry. And modular terminals and Sunsil relics are not cargo I get very often. Now I thought, as the experienced player in this wing had obeyed, that the mostly harmless guy in the wing will surely also join his comrade and have a 24-hour pass. He wouldn't try and run from me, would he? Yeah, he definitely was in the non-complying section, so a little hatch breaker on him. And yeah, nice, interesting cargo to get. I do have a stash of modular terminals on my carrier to help newbies unlock their engineers. Yeah, the reason I'm hitting him with the missiles is just to hopefully hit him with the FSD missile, which resets his FSD and gives my limpet time to do its job and get me the cargo that I asked for. But yeah, I was surprised that the harmless guy decided not to comply, given the guy that I thought was probably running the wing or had already complied. And I did notice his cutter did drop in. So the person who was in charge of the wing or was helping the newbies out didn't like the fact that I was robbing the harmless guys. I did say I'm an equal opportunities pirate and I'm not trying to harm anyone. Had they complied, they would have got the 24-hour pass. And there's also I'm also gambling a bit here because shieldless, it's a game of how long do I want to stay in instance while being shot by the police before I escape, because let's face it, my modular reinforcement is not going to last forever, and sometimes these police do carry missiles, so you've got to be reasonably careful with these guys. Though I do have chaff and heat sinks. The bomb is a very the T-bomb is a very, very solid pirate ship in a lot of ways. It's got a lot of hull, but the shieldless aspect always makes it a bit of a risk when you're scooping cargo under fire. Not that that's a bad thing, because a bit of risk is what makes the game fun. No risk is I fly a cutter all day, every day. There are many commanders that do that, but you know, for me, I prefer to take a bit more of a risk and fly silly builds and fun builds, and I do love my shieldless T-bomb, the pirate ship named after one of my chickens, who's actually asleep in the room behind me at the moment, and I'm recording this at 3:13 in the morning. I'm going to have to put him away in his cage soon, because as soon as the sunlight gets here, he needs to be under a blanket, locked away for until you know, at least it's a sociable time to crow, let's say. But yeah, I was trying to be delicate with the mostly harmless and harmless guys in this wing, while also getting as much piracy done as possible. Now, the guy leading this wing and me had a little back and forth as I went back to my carrier to change things up, and yeah, he only had 2 ships in system, so he wanted to have a mess with me, so I went over in a big ship, and yeah, so you know, he wanted to have a fight for me messing with noobs, which I'm, you know, fine with. I did point out I do kind of rob anyone, equal opportunities. We don't care what your rank is. If you've got cargo, we want it. That's it. There's, you know, I'm kinder to newbies. I don't, you know, I try not to kill them. You know, I try to roleplay I always try and roleplay my incidences out of piracy. I try and be nice to people. I try and ask them for cargo rather than demand it when their drives are gone. You know, there is something to be said for the Frodo Swaggins method of piracy. It works, it's effective if you blow someone's drives out and leave them spinning dead in space and then empty their hold. You know, it works for Skull, who's a member of the Dark Marauders. You know, there's all sorts of different ways to pirate people. I prefer the polite method. Some of my colleagues are less so. But, you know, he was in a cutter. It was a beam laser multi-cannon cutter, so I didn't think it was a PvP build. I did go over in the Frag Condor. He did light me up with his beam lasers. We had a little back and forth, and yeah, I would presume this is a trade cutter because its shield strength wasn't the highest, but yeah, the frags are incredibly high DPS at the best of times. But yeah, this is the difference between a PvE and a PvP build. I'm sure he's got stronger ships than this, because as he said, he only had 2 ships in the system, and it was either this cutter or a Type 9 he was going to fight me in. So I had no desire to kill this guy, so as soon as I took his shields down, I just GD'd him, and yeah, my glass cannon Anaconda is very high DPS, very bothersome. But so far, what a cracking evening. I've robbed 2 players. You know, one of them has stood up for the honour of his squadron and challenged me to a fight, which I've accepted. It's not a very fair fight, and so I'm sure he's going to be able to give me a fight in the future with a much stronger ship than this one. Yeah, had I known, I would probably stayed in my pirate ship, but yeah, the Frag Condor was a little too much for him. It's a lot too much for a lot of people. This footage is sped up, so it wasn't quite as bad as, you know, a speedrun as it looks, but I'm taking him out to trade cutter with probably only a size 6 prismatic shield, or, you know, shield on it. And like I say, I had no interest in killing him. He's standing up for the honour of his wing, which I respect fully. And like I said, I'd already given him a 24-hour pass, so I have no desire to kill anyone or, you know, harm him or steal any more of his cargo, because he's already on a 24-hour pass. He did keep shooting me for a bit, but then I think got the idea that I was not gonna keep fighting. Yeah, he did say to me afterwards, you know, about my shields being very strong, and they are pretty decent. And I'm like, oh no, he has now put his weapons away, so there we go. And yeah, so I sent him an 07, GG, all good. And now there's still a 3rd member of this wing out there somewhere. So yeah, that's the guy I really want to rob, because then I'll have the 4 hat trick and I'll have robbed all 3 members of this wing. And as luck would have it, when I did spot him, he was in a nice juicy Type 9. And yeah, so that was just, yeah, it was just luck. I came to Mahlanja. I didn't expect a lot on the evening. It was a quiet weekday night. not a Saturday or a Friday. It was just a normal in the week night. So to get this much piracy done in an evening, to be able to rob an entire wing of 3, and to have different interactions with all 3 of them was just really good fun. And you know, it's nice to be able to bring, I'm sure some people don't see it this way, but it's nice to bring some trading commanders a bit of entertainment when they trade. You know, a bit of a different shake-up, and it's nice to be able to give one a 24-hour pass, and then, you know, have one non-compliant, and then have this one, who was probably the toughest of the ones to pirate. Yeah, you'll see why. A wasn't having any of it, and you know, didn't want to go along with being asked politely for cargo, but also he seemed to take being matchbreaking more personally than the last guy, and actually stuck around with the police to actually join in shooting me. I realised I was being shot by him and the police, and I decided to dissuade him from shooting at me. You know, he was in a Type 9. They've got a reasonable amount of firepower. I mean, 3 mediums, 2 smalls. It's, you know, it's not a totally defenseless ship. It's, you know, my trade ones can deal with NPC ships well enough. They're not going to deal with any players at all, but when it comes to NPCs, they can put up a decent fight. I mean, I must admit, I was reasonably surprised when a mostly harmless guy in a shieldless ship actually starts shooting at me, a player pirate, but fair play to him. I like, you know, I respect it. It's a gutsy move. I was quite happily sitting there scooping his cargo, so I wasn't really paying too much attention, so I must have seemed like an easy target. I think he was dissuaded quite quickly, because I hit him with the sizzle rocket and the message rockets, because all of my missiles are fixed on the dropship. They all have different effects on them, so when you get hit by a volley of the missiles, you tend to get an absolute array of silly messages come through to you, especially as one's the enzyme missile, one's heating you up, one's emissive. You know, there's a whole raft of silly messages you get sent, which let you know you're being shot. But as you can see, yeah, I just see he's gone into a triangle, he's shooting at me, the police are shooting at me, and you know, I can't be doing with a harmless commander shooting me, so I hit him with a few volleys and then hoped that would be enough, because, you know, I'm hoping I don't have to keep shooting harmless commanders. I don't want to kill him, but I think I did enough to dissuade him from trying to kill me. There's nothing I can do about the NPC police, because if I shoot them, they just, yeah, return much more powerful than before. They're terrible for, if you shoot the small ones, you end up getting anacondas involved, and that gets very painful very quickly, especially in a shieldless ship. However, I was able to stick around long enough to scoop up all the cargo, and yeah, all in all, an absolutely cracking evening's entertainment and a perfectly cracking time pirating in Mahlanja. I got incredibly lucky. Had I chosen solo, I probably wouldn't have seen anyone, but that's the breaks. You never know. Some nights you can sit around for 3-4 hours and not see anyone. Other nights, loads of people drop in. It's great fun. But you know, any which way you look at it, it's a glorious bit of piracy, and that's what we in the Dark Marauders love doing. Is a glorious bit of piracy, good bit of fun, and yeah. So I'm back on my carrier with my ill-gotten gains in a slightly damaged pirate dropship. You know, and that's all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.